Hello, my name is Norman McEvoy, and I'm going to start our team off here with a presentation on charter communications, adapting to the future of technology. Slide, please. Slide. Starting off again, my name is Norman McEvoy. I'll be followed by Ricky, Rick, Jason, and Brent. And Ricky will be discussing the pest analysis as well as Porter's five forces. Jason, Rick, and Brent will share a evaluation of strategic, organizational, and financial implications as well as recommendations. And Brent will finalize our rationale for the recommendations and provide a conclusion and direction for the company moving forward. Slide. Charter communications and Time Warner in particular trace their roots back to 1968 when the American Television Company was founded. Time Incorporated purchased American Television Communications, and then Time Incorporated later merged with Warner Communications, making Time Warner Communications. Eventually, after several spin-offs, various mergers and acquisitions, Charter now owns both Spectrum and Time Warner Cable. However, they are making a dramatic and strategic shift toward labeling and doing business as across-the-board Spectrum. It's publicly traded as Charter Communications and have 26.2 million residential and business customers. Slide. The firm operates in a highly competitive business environment across all of its business lines. In particular, the impact of the buyer is creating a downward pressure environment for the pricing strategy, and with the increasing power of the suppliers, the margins are shrinking on both sides. We felt there was really only one benefit attribute or feature within the industry, and that is that regardless of weather and circumstances, the service stays strong in signal and reliability. As a result of all of these things, we think it's a very highly competitive environment. And to discuss this in more depth in terms of Porter's five forces as well as a pest analysis, I'm going to pass this off to Ricky now, and we'll outline the remainder of the strategic analysis perspective. Ricky.
Thank you, Norman. Now on to the Porter's five forces. We will look at rivalry, which has a strong force on it in terms of marketing tactics and promotions from advertisers like DirecTV. There's also a slow market growth. New entrance is low, with high capital requirements to enter into this market and strict government policies to enter as well. Substitutes, there are plenty of substitutes now with competitors like Netflix and Hulu. In terms of suppliers, we felt that was moderate to strong with a limited number of programming vendors, networks, and also extremely high cost to switch between suppliers. Buyers, we felt that strength was moderate, with buyers becoming more informed with their options and also the lack of loyalty and retention that they have with Charter Communications. Slide. So what exactly is the issue? We felt that Charter Communications is essentially going off of a old television model and is struggling to be a dominant streaming and video broadband company that is becoming more popular these days. This is also compounded by the fact of rising cable and TV costs and the poor customer service experiences that many of us have become so accustomed to when dealing with companies like Spectrum or Time Warner Cable. We feel that there are a lot more recommendations that we can provide that they can go in search of in terms of acquisitions or other avenues. And to discuss some of these is Rick.
Thanks for that. And So we're going to be focusing on a couple of different recommendations, and we broke them out into short term and long term. I'm going to focus primarily on the growth and expansion focus. So on the next slide, as we can see, there are opportunities regarding the overall market itself. Since as outlined before, cable cutting is a new trend as people are moving towards streaming. And this is affecting all cable service providers, making especially the smaller cable companies more vulnerable and more possible willingly to accept merger acquisitions. And the larger companies will probably see a shift in their dealings with one another in terms of strategic partnership as they try to weather this storm or this impending trend. Also, there's little direct competition between these cable providers, since we can see from the map on the right, it's a very segmented industry where if you have roots there, most likely another cable company isn't going to be present in that market as well. So expansion is primarily going to be giving you a larger customer base without giving you the additional competition risk. Also, we're looking at your leverage when negotiating deals with media companies. And though the trend might be towards streaming in the long term, demand for cable is not as low as what people believe, and customers have shown that they are willing to pay for premium service and premium content. So the biggest advantage cable companies like Charter Communications have is the volume and variety of programming that it can provide from these deals. So cable companies can maintain that advantage by ensuring that they are providing premium content through negotiations of exclusive or long-term carriage contracts with these media companies. It does come with risks, since there are negative outlooks for the industry. Investors might be skeptical in terms of the profitability of this, making it difficult to raise capital for these acquisitions or mergers and partnerships. And additionally, this is coming at a time where, or after a large merger with Time Warner Cable and Bright House, that companies already, some are pretty leveraged, so this might make it a little bit difficult to justify those costs. Now, again, I focus primarily on the external expansion opportunities. I'm going to be handing it over to Jason to talk more about the opportunities within the company. Jason?
All right, so thank you very much, Ricky. I'm going to talk a little bit about the customer service gap that we have found that Charter and Time Warner has been showing up in all the consumer reports. I've taken a look at JD Powers and consumer reports, and there's a large gap between their customer service that they are providing to their consumers. So one of the things that we recommend is to focus on becoming more of a customer-centric company-wide. And one of the ways to do that is bringing in a third party to head up the focus groups and research groups that will help us to build qualitative and quantitative data that will build up, which can be used by management to make the changes needed to focus the group. This will be a high capital investment, and one of the cons that we see is there might not be immediate changes based on the amount that the investors make, and another con might be the impact that these groups. It all depends on how much investment is upfront to see how big of a customer service change you make across the whole company. All right, so to talk more about the long-term recommendations and the conclusion, I'm going to pass this off to Brent Paladino.
All right, thanks, Jason. So now we're going to talk about the long-term recommendations for Charter. And our three long-term recommendations are all tied together with the eventual goal in our top recommendation of merging with or acquiring a cellular network. That's tied into 5G development. Before we get to that point, we need to roll out a Charter mobile cellular service and also pursue the delivery of online video streaming. So our first recommendation, next slide, please. So our first recommendation in terms of the long-term outlook of Charter is that we're going to roll out the Charter mobile cellular service. This is something that Charter has already put in the works. They formed a partnership with Verizon to use their towers as a way to deliver their cellular service. This is going to be a cost-effective entrance into the mobile space. And what we need to do is we need to accelerate the launch of Charter Mobile. Comcast has already launched their Xfinity mobile service, and we need to follow up in the next 8 to 12 months with our rollout of Charter Mobile cellular service. What this is going to do is it's going to allow us to acquire customers outside of the service areas, and we're going to introduce them to the Charter brand. It's going to make our company obviously a lot more attractive when we're trying to merge or acquire a cellular company. And so obviously the downside to this is that it does rely on Verizon wireless towers. And so when there is an outage, we're going to be trying to troubleshoot this, but it's not really our towers and our network. So it's more of a medium-term solution to get Charter into the mobile space. And you'll see our final recommendation is where we're actually going to enter the mobile space completely. Next slide, please. And with the addition of our cellular service, we also want to pursue the delivery of online video streaming. So currently, to deliver any sort of video production, it's got to go through a broadband wire. And so this is something that's been tried in St. Louis with moderate success. And I think that, for us to be able to enter to continue to provide quality video and to allow customers to watch TV anywhere, that we need to be able to show our video over the internet. It's going to allow customers to watch TV anywhere, so you'll be able to watch your favorite shows through a mobile device, and it's going to attract the cord cutters back to Charter video packages, which is the most important part of this whole process, is making sure that we mitigate our net loss in subscribers and eventually turn that into a positive net add quarter in, quarter out. So by delivering over the internet, the cost is also significantly cheaper. Instead of providing separate wires for our cable and for our video services, it's just going to all be through broadband. We'll be able to deliver them right over the broadband internet connection. And it would also allow the TVs now that are smart TV capable to be able to have a cable video package without needing the cable box. And next slide, please. And our ultimate top recommendation is that we want to merge or acquire a cellular network and accelerate our 5G development. 5G, which is the next iteration in the G family in terms of providing internet wirelessly. 5G has the capability to be able to deliver quality broadband internet speeds wirelessly. So if the implications of this come to fruition, companies like Verizon and AT&T would be able to provide internet to customers in their homes without needing a broadband wire. So presently, Charter basically has a monopoly in the service areas that they have in terms of internet. The only alternative really is satellite. So if you want to get internet, you basically have to go through Charter. All right, so now we want to just tie everything together with our conclusion. Charter Communications is the third largest cable provider in the United States. But obviously, as we've shown here, it faces increased competition in both the video and the broadband space. The ways that we have addressed this problem is that we're going to enter the 5G technology space to cut into its current customer base. Next slide, please. So in conclusion, just to recap, our top recommendation is that we're going to address the current decline in video subscribers by acquiring a cable company. This will allow us to add additional customers. And in the long term, we're going to need to enter the cellular space and continue our 5G development through a merger acquisition. This is going to address the long-term issue that broadband, while it is right now our best product, the increase in competition could potentially cut into that. So we need to be positioned for long-term changes in technology by continuing our 5G development. These are going to allow us to address both the short-term and the long-term issues in both the video and the broadband.